Selling a rental property in Whistler isn't quite like selling a primary residence, especially if you've got a calendar full of bookings. If you handle it the wrong way, you risk losing future income, upsetting guests, and even scaring away potential buyers. But after 27 years of helping owners sell here, including hundreds of phase 1 and 2 properties, I've developed a proven system to make sure you get top dollar while keeping your rental income protected right up to closing. Now, the biggest mistake I see sellers make is that they stop renting their property the moment they decide to list, thinking it will make showings easier. It does, but in Whistler, your revenue stream is sometimes part of what you're selling. Having upcoming bookings is often a huge selling point, especially for buyers who want rental income from day one. A full, well-managed booking calendar shows strong demand and can directly support your asking price. Now, of course, active bookings do make buyer showings more complex. That's why I use a very specific system. We coordinate showings between guest stays and on cleaning or changeover days whenever possible. For longer stays, I communicate directly with your property manager to request limited showing windows with as little disruption to the guests as possible, and maybe a nice bottle of wine tossed in for good measure. And for serious, highly qualified buyers that we have coming to town, we'll even schedule private viewings months in advance to work around your property's high occupancy periods. So the bottom line is you can keep your rental income flowing while still actively marketing the property. Now, one of the biggest questions I get from sellers is, what happens to my future bookings after I sell? So here's how it works. In many cases, if the buyer wants to keep the existing bookings, then they just sign up with a property management company and they will transfer those bookings to the new owner. Your property manager simply changes ownership on file, the upcoming guests are unaffected, and the new owner immediately steps into that future revenue stream. Now, this is a major selling advantage for buyers looking for instant cash flow. I recently worked with a seller from West Vancouver who was worried that keeping bookings active would complicate the sale. Instead, we just leaned into it. We marketed their property at Powderhorn on Blackcomb with its full future rental calendar as a turnkey income opportunity. The buyer loved the instant cash flow and the property sold quickly with no gaps in revenue for either party. Now, what happens when the buyer doesn't want to keep any of the future bookings because they aren't planning to nightly rent the property out and they just want to use it strictly residentially? In that case, we can work with your property manager to see if they can move the bookings to another suite in their portfolio. If some of the bookings can't be moved, then the buyer would be forced to take over at least a few of the bookings, and then they can close out the management agreement after that. Now, alternatively, we can just work on negotiating a closing date that's far enough away that there are no bookings beyond the closing. Now, finally, timing really matters here. Listing during periods of strong rental demand helps showcase income potential. I analyze your property's revenue statements, upcoming bookings, and market timing to strategically position your listing for maximum exposure. Now, this is especially important in Whistler's highly seasonal market. Winter ski season versus summer mountain bike season can drive very different buyer activity. Selling a rental property in Whistler doesn't have to mean losing rental income or stressing over guests. And when it's handled properly, your bookings can actually help you sell faster and for more money. So if you're thinking about selling, let's have a chat. I'll walk you through exactly how I handle rental property sales here in Whistler so you can maximize both your revenue and your sale price. Just click the link below and we'll schedule a private call together.